Hi scholars, Miss Picciaboni here.
Wednesday ELT, operations with exponents. So for this one, we're doing what's inside the parentheses first. So 4 times 2 times 1 is 8. D to the 3, 4, 5, 6 power, all to the second power. So 8 to the second power is 64. And then I would multiply my exponents to get d to the 12th for my final answer. Okay, moving on to number 2. If I'm dividing, I subtract my exponents. So 3 minus 6 is 4 to the negative 3 to the third power. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So this becomes 4 to the negative 9. Which I know I can't have negative exponents, so that becomes 1 over 4 to the 9th power. For number 3, I know when I'm multiplying with exponents, I just multiply my coefficients like normal. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 6 is 240. And then I'm going to add my exponents together. 6 plus negative 2 is positive 4. Positive 4 plus negative 4 is actually 0. So I get g to the 0 power. Anything to the raised to the 0 power is 1, so I actually get 240 times 1, which is just 240. For number 4, 3 to the 5th power means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 to the 4th power, 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81, 81 times another 3 is 243. So I get 243, I distribute the 5, becomes w to the 5th, and z to the 15th. For problem number 5, I'm dividing. I'm going to go from left to right. 3 divided by 4. I'm just going to keep that as 3/4, n to the 1st, and n to the 5th. 1 minus 5 is n to the negative 4th. And then that would be s to the 1st. The only thing I don't like about this is that there is a negative exponent. So I'm going to move my n to the negative 4th to the denominator. So I get 3s over 4n to the 4th. For this next one, I'm going to multiply first, so I get 4s to the 4th, all raised to the second power. That becomes 16s to the 8th. Okay, moving on to number 7. 6 divided by 5, I'm just going to keep that as 6/5. Now, we have to be careful here. If it's negative 3 minus a negative 2, that equals negative 1. So I get s to the negative 1, except I don't like that because it's negative, so I'm going to move it. I get 6 over 5s. Okay, for number 8, we're going to just keep the 2 6. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. 5 minus 2 is 3. So then, I get 2r to the 3rd over 6c. For this one, I'm just going to multiply. I get 45 w to the 3rd. Okay, this one, I'm just going to go ahead and do what's inside the parentheses first. So I'm going to keep this as 7 6, w to the 5th, s to the 4th. And then that's all to the 3rd power. So what this would end up being would be 7 over 6 to the 3rd power, w to the 15th power, and s to the 12th power. And if I wanted to, I could do 7 over 6 times 7, 6 times 7, 6, and get that into a different fraction. Okay, for this one, I'm just multiplying, so I add my exponents. I get k to the 4th power. For number 12, 3 minus 6 is negative 3, and this is all to the 3rd power. Negative 3 times 3 is g to the negative 9. But I know I cannot have a negative exponent, so I'm going to take the reciprocal, and it becomes 1 over g to the 9th.